We would do it for other people.
Just because I'm nice.
We'll run with that.
Put my hands in my pocket. That's probably put them behind me.
Yeah.
1 minute? Okay.
Get a look at this way.
Yeah, you guys need to make some flash.
Yeah. Well, good morning and welcome to Castledine Village, where the state government is partnering with local builders to develop this brand new community. 180 terrace houses, all of them equipped with solar, batteries, energy efficiency, meaning they're not just affordable when we sell them, but they're affordable for people to live in as well. They'll have lower power bills throughout their time here. And today I'm really pleased to announce that the next state budget will have further initiatives where the state government will be acting to increase land supply to ease housing affordability. We know that people from right around the country are flooding into Queensland, rushing here, and why wouldn't they? Of course, it's the best part of the country to live in, especially the morning after a great Origin win. And so today, in the next budget, we're announcing that there will be $200 million to invest into the infrastructure that allows developers to unlock land. This is all about increasing land supply, addressing housing availability and housing affordability. $150 million into the Catalytic Infrastructure Fund, as well as $50 million into the Growth Acceleration Fund. Both of these funds provide for that catalytic infrastructure that allows for new areas to be opened up. So we have a goal of adding an additional 50,000 lots to the land supply here in the southeast. 30,000 of those will be at Caboolture West. And so fittingly, some of these additional funds will go towards utility infrastructure at Caboolture West. Things like water and sewerage. What we're finding as our growth area team continues to work through the issues that are impeding land supply, oftentimes it's disaggregated ownership. So you have a variety of developers that own the land, and so no one developer can afford to fund the trunk infrastructure that would allow them to develop that land. And so this is all about working together with them and local government and utility providers to deliver that infrastructure, roads, water, sewerage, to make sure that they can open that land up so that families can afford to buy land to build and to live in our great region. Here in Castledine Village, a big supporter of our project here is our local member Bart, and I'll let him say a little bit about what this all means. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Deputy Premier. It's great to have him out here today after a fantastic Origin win last night in particular. But it's great to hear about the $200 million to really catalyse, to really boost housing supply across the broader region. We all know the housing affordability pressures at the moment in Queensland and across the nation. So it's really great to see something that'll kickstart that and something that'll really encourage councils to free up supply a bit more. In Castledine here, you can see a really good example of development done right. There's townhouses behind us going up. We've got the sporting fields here that have been open a couple of years, and we've got the Beams Road rail overpass with the next stage of early work starting very soon. So this is a fantastic area to live, fantastic area to work, and a really great announcement here today that we're kickstarting a bit more housing supply in the broader region. Cheers.
Any questions on this first?
Over what time period are we expected to see those 50,000 lots come online?
So that's our goal from the last election, from the 2020 election. So, but it is a long-term plan. So those lots at Caboolture West will open up in stages over coming decades. Eventually, there'll be 70,000 people living there.
I guess when we're seeing thousands of interstate migration as numbers, is the state government doing enough to keep up with that demand?
We're doing what we can. Obviously, we don't control all of the levers, but one of the things we can do is work together with local government and developers to assist them to unlock land supply, and that's what this $200 million announcement today is all about, giving us the funds that we need to help contribute to the cost of that infrastructure, and once that infrastructure is there, developers tell us that they will be able to open up those lots.
What else can be done? You say you don't control all the levers, but you see 50,000, it sounds like a big number, but when you compare it to the numbers of people actually moving here, it's actually pretty small. So what else could be done?
Well, we continue to work with local government, who are primarily responsible for the planning measures that control land supply. So we have the Growth Areas team working with them. They're currently doing an assessment of underutilised land within the urban footprint. That's a very important project to look at the entire urban footprint and identify where land is currently blocked, and then we can look at what the causes of that blockage are. The causes vary dramatically, and so we need to go effectively lot by lot and determine what it is that's keeping those lots off the market, what we can do to assist. Sometimes that's money, sometimes that's planning, sometimes it's getting developers to work together.
Would you like to see some areas rezoned that aren't traditionally building upwards?
Well, one of the ways that we will ensure that people can afford to live in our region is by increasing density, particularly around transport nodes. That's what we're doing here at Castledine. That's been effective in other parts of the city and will need to be a part of the mix. We can't continue to push everyone into those outer suburbs. We do need to provide greater options for people to live closer to where they work or where they study, and that's why that infill development is really important.
There was a productivity report released yesterday showing Queensland has the lowest social housing spend per person. How can we say that we're doing enough in that space when we see figures like this?
Well, I think even the reporting on that report identified that it was conducted prior to the very significant investment we made in the last budget. So the report itself was dated, but obviously we are doing more. We need to do much more to address housing supply and affordability, as well, including social and public housing, and we'll continue to see those funds invested.
What was pledged last budget?
The commitment in the last budget was a record spend on social and affordable housing. I'm not here for a quiz, Tim. We can get you the. We'll get you the figure.
The opposition says that residential lots, residential lot approvals have fallen year on year since Labor came to power in 2015. Do you dispute those figures?
That's not my understanding of the figures. Of course, lot approvals are primarily the responsibility of local government, but we work with local government to ensure that they have the tools that they need to supply those lots, as well as the market intelligence that tells us when those lots are becoming available. Just recently, I released a peer review of the system that we use to provide that intelligence about when lots are becoming available. That report suggests that at this stage there is sufficient supply, but we know both anecdotally and from what the industry tells us that there are impediments often to developing those lots. And again, that's why having funds like this available so that we can sit down at the table and assist where that's appropriate is so useful.
How much housing could be unlocked in those areas, those underused urban areas?
Well, we don't know the answer to that yet. The study itself is in response to feedback that while that report says that there are lots available, and while the mapping says that there are lots available, there are impediments to developing those lots. That's what the industry tells us, and so we want to go area by area and identify where those lots are and what might be stopping them from getting developed.
Can we ask you about the sentence yesterday to the 17-year-old driver? Do you think it was appropriate?
Well, I'm not going to comment on the judgment itself. I will note that the judge himself said that no sentence would seem appropriate, and that certainly reflects how I feel about it. I know Queenslanders continue to be shook by those horrific deaths. It's I remember hearing about it. Just being reminded of it today is saddening, and I'm sure people right across Queensland will be reminded of how awful it was, and their hearts will continue to go out to their family.
Is the government considering appealing the sentence?
So the Attorney General will get advice on that today, and I'm sure we'll have more to say about it once she's received that advice.
At this point, I mean, the laws were changed. Effectively, under the old laws, he would have been trialled as an adult. If he was 17, he'd also be named and would have got a stiffer penalty. When you see cases like this, is there any regrets about changing those laws?
Well, that's all a bit hypothetical, and I don't want to get into commenting on the judgment itself. The attorney will get that advice. She'll have something to say about it, I'm sure. But it's an awful thing that we all wish never happened.
And there's a lot of anger in the community about it. I guess as a government, as politicians, community leaders, do you acknowledge that there is anger about the sentence out there?
I do, and I understand it. This was a very, very sad event, and it should never have happened. And I know Queenslanders will be saddened just to be remembering it and how awful it was. Thank you.